Welcome to another...
The official podcast of The Leaky Cauldron.
The Leaky Cauldron. The Leaky Cauldron. Do you hear that, Ern? The Leaky Cauldron.
Just go! You're wasting time!
How do we start something cast these days? Heyo! Just kidding. Welcome to another
What was our original music?
Oh boy, I don't remember.
You made it, John.
I know, but I was probably like 12 years old.
You were close.
It feels like it.
Yeah. Welcome to PotterCast, number something. I'm Melissa.
Number.
Howdy, I'm John.
And I'm Frak.
I think we should start this conversation by telling people that they should listen to the podcast we put out in December
Oh yeah.
with Jack Bird.
Required listening.
Yeah.
If you haven't done that yet, please, now is the time. Along with the Gonad series on Radio.
Did you listen to it,
was
Frankie?
super. I did. I listened to it in December after I listened to that podcast.
It's wild.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Very
And
informative.
it's not about clownfish. As by now, if you haven't, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have. But just in case, J.K. Rowling
Yeah, that's right.
put to bed all question of whether or not she believes trans people are who they say they are. But in a lengthy 3,600 word manifesto that came after a series of tweets that came in the middle of a global reckoning about race, that came 6 months after she made her first sort of direct declaration of her beliefs about trans people. The Harry Potter community that we know, the faction of it that we know, that we've been in for 15 years, more than that actually, but at least podcasting in it for 15 years, is hurt and betrayed and confused because every professional medical association, every humanitarian association says that her beliefs are harmful, disproven, and incorrect, and that the manifesto is a trove of debunked junk science. It's kind of like the things that people use to make transphobes out of other people. You know what I mean? It's like being red-pilled, but for transphobia. It's very hurtful. We're going through a lot of hurt in this community. And so if you are confused about any of that and why her stance is misleading and upsetting, please go listen to that episode with Jack. We're not going to get into too much of the what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong on this particular episode. We're going to direct you to some of those resources in our show notes because they exist and they're by people who know this issue better than we do, and we encourage you to listen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So the reason the three of us, it's just three of us here talking about what happened recently and not, the three of us haven't really addressed this yet.
Right.
We haven't had a chance to get together and do so. And frankly, we're all cis, so take everything we say with a grain of salt, because we don't live the experience that's under attack here. But since...
What does cis mean, Melissa, in case anybody listening isn't up on the lingo?
Cis means that you are the gender you were assigned at birth. The reason we wanted to make sure it was just the three of us kind of talking about this and addressing it is that, for better or worse, you hear from us every week, LOL. LOL. Every week.
Ludicrous.
Once upon a time.
What?
Once upon a time, it was every
Hey,
week.
we
Pardon
come out
me?
the woodwork when there's something significant to talk about in the Potterverse.
Oh, man.
So this
Yeah.
is significant.
Yeah. One of these days, we will do the miraculous and get on a regular schedule. But we have a rapport with you, our audience, and have had for some time. And so we thought that you would want to hear where we all are with, and I'm talking a lot, and so I'll stop. But John and I are both straight. Frankie is not, and so I don't want to make sure that we're not. Like Frankie, you're a member of the LGBT community, and so I want to make sure that I don't, overtalk you in this.
No, not at all. I mean, we're here just to chat and everything, and
so I've talked about this lots with Jack, with you guys, with people, lots of people. How did you both feel when you read that the main truth of it, which is that Joe believes that when trans people say, that like trans is a choice or trans is...
Right. Yeah, it was rough. It was, I mean, it wasn't the first that we'd heard from her on the topic, and she had tweeted a little bit here and there, and she had been engaging on Twitter a little bit even before that. But, you know, one of my criticisms prior to that point was like, you know, she should just come out and say whatever it is that she believes and just get it out there and stop just tiptoeing around with her liking things on Twitter and this and that. But now that she's come out with it, oh boy, like that's you know, maybe not. Maybe that wasn't the right call, because yeesh.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just it was very. I've taken it really roughly, to be completely transparent. Like, JK, I used to say, and it's even phrasing past tense is still like, it feels weird. So like, what I've been known to say is I'm a bigger fan of J.K. Rowling than I am of Harry Potter, because I just really respected what she did with her money and how she handled her fame and her family and stuff like that. I was just like, wow, such respect, because like that type of fame, notice, like success and just money, let alone the notoriety and the celebrity that comes with it, can consume a person and really like rot somebody. And I was just so.
Are you talking about fame or Facebook?
Fame, fame, yeah, and money is just something that can really destroy a person. And it just seemed as though she was just doing such good with the immense power she had, like all like the orphanages and the women's support and all that kind of stuff. I was like, yay. And then just to see her take such a stubborn stance on something, and the hypocrisy of it being in the antithesis of the whole point of Harry Potter, is just like a blow. And like in my personal life, I'm dealing with some of my family not being supportive of my coming out and stuff, and or not as supportive as I'd like them to be, and it's rough. And I was acquitting it. Like, I think this was just like a blow from the other direction. Like, oh, this other area that's like happy and safe in my life, that's always been this great little place, now has like, oh no, like this too is nothing sacred. And so it just, to me, I get angry and sad, because I know I went through the forms of grief, thinking like, you know what, we just need to reach her. We just like, you know what, we'll just sit down and we'll reach her and it'll be fine. She just doesn't get it. And then I was chatting with you guys about, I remember that conversation we had with you guys about that. And you guys were really patient with me. Like, oh yeah, Frankie, but like other people have. And I was like, it just took a long time for that to kind of like settle in. And like, I'm just rambling. No. I don't know. I kind of lost my point at this point, but like,
I think you hit it.
It's rough.
You hit at a very important thing, which is that this was a safe place and a haven, is a haven for so many people. The story is, and to tussle with an author who, yes, has done a lot of really good work in the world, and nothing can take that away from her. Like those pieces of good cannot be taken away, but it really does invalidate a legacy and invalidate a lot of good work, to tell a faction of human beings on the planet that you know better who they are than they do, that you don't believe in their identity, that you think that people are trans men because they want to bust into bathrooms, and that you have to protect women. I'm sorry, as a woman, I am so offended by women who think that the thing we have to watch out for is trans women. Are you out of your mind? As though a man who intended to violate a woman ever for a moment thought he wouldn't be able to get into a bathroom. And the way
exactly,
right? And the way
I
to
don't
do
understand that form of logic at
all.
Yeah. It pisses me off.
Imagine being trans and identifying yourself as trans, and the kind of trans that she's talking about, which would be getting a gender identity certificate and getting the kind of, like, she's specifically talking about going through that process that identifies you as a very marginalized person and puts you in a very dangerous position. It would be like, I need to prey on women, so I'm gonna walk over a tightrope across the Grand Canyon instead of just go do it. It doesn't make any sense. Our dangers.
It's fear mongering.
It's fear mongering.
It doesn't add up. It's fear mongering. It's disrespectful. And like, honestly, like being raised in a very conservative church, like we were taught to deal with people who are just trying to be difficult with you, trying to tease you about your faith, but it goes both ways. You know what I mean? Like that is something that is a lie. Like that is not proven. It's a lie someone's using to convince an argument. Like that's a fear. That's just someone's fear.
She's also, it's also like not correct. She's trying.
It is completely
incorrect.
Incorrect.
I mean, outside of the whole completely offensive nature of trying to tell me that as a woman, that's who I need to be scared of, and not literally every man in the world, because that's who women are taught to be scared of, not the ones who go through incredible social, acute social discomfort and acute gender dysphoria. Those are not the people you have to be scared of. Anyway, what she's trying to say about this is that, the law that's about to come up is going to make it so that anybody can just stand up and say, I'm now a woman. And then they would have, that's all you need to get your certificate. And so, this is why I need to direct you to actual resources, because I'm going to flub some of the details. But she's acting like there's no barriers, that's what the British law is trying to accomplish. And it's flatly untrue. And you can read many resources that can show you that. You have to jump through a million hoops to get this kind of identity certificate that she's talking about. And it's just so wild to see someone so smart fall for such poppycock. Don't tell me you're protecting women. That's full bull, you know?
Well, that's just...
They're protecting women, much like people advocating for people having to bring a driver's license to the polls are protecting the vote from fraudulent voting.
This is PotterCast right here. Melissa goes on a 5-minute thing and gets crazy and passionate about it and contradicts herself and goes back and forth. And then John comes in 2 seconds later and is like, here it is. Exactly. That's exactly it.
It's no different, right? We're talking about calling up the event, which is an outlier event, right, to be the thing that you create a rule around, and in so doing disenfranchising, the entire group of people, at question. And it's silly because you understand the argument for like the people that want to make it harder to vote, because they think in their calculus they would do better in elections if fewer people voted, or fewer people that might not be likely to even have an ID at the time voted. And they will admit that is their reason, if you ask them when the cameras aren't on. But what's the reason here? What's like, because I mean, it's just the whole thing falls apart if you subject it to like, any real scrutiny here, because like you said, all of the things that she's worried about happening in her, what if in a changing room this happens scenarios, all of these things are already against the law. If you molest somebody in a locker room, no matter, who you say you are, you're breaking the law. So somebody willing to do that, you're basically saying, okay, so there are people out there trying to, that would be, in a situation to assault somebody. So what we need to do is find a way to make it extra illegal for them to do that. So like they're not even allowed in the room in the first place, because that will stop that from happening, which is obviously nonsense. And again, we're talking about such a strange outlier scenario. If what she's really worried about is, protecting people from assault, I think there's a hell of a lot more ways to go about doing that. Think of how many, rape charges don't even get investigated. in most police stations. I guess that's the case in the United States. I can't speak for Scotland. I don't know their situation as well, but surely if we're concerned about, these victims of whatever, there are more fruitful, causes to take up.
But like that's incredibly true, and it's also she's. I can't. It breaks my heart to make this comparison, and I don't mean it in a lot of ways, but in this way, it is true. She's doing what Trump does to racists, which is dog whistle and enable. It's a nod.
Going with it.
It's a nod that it's all these people who were keeping it quiet because the social fabric was changing, and they were starting to see that maybe that kind of opinion wasn't welcome, and they should tamp it down. And for that, for whatever marginal way that makes things better. Like obviously, you want to truly educate people and see them come around, but. We'll take
still a step in humility.
Like if you can play,
I think it's still good because that's still a step in the right direction. That's humility. Someone recognizes.
That's what I'm saying. Is that like that? As time, this fabric goes on, like that would be happening. But then somebody really powerful comes in and says,
and gives you permission.
It gives you permission. She's giving. Saying like I've been an advocate for women all this time. She did say that she had suffered a sexual assault and was a victim of domestic abuse. Two things that she's never quite said publicly. And let us be very clear. That is heartbreaking. None of anything else makes it okay. And we're very sorry for that for her. It also is not an excuse,
of course,
to incite people to be abusive and violent towards trans people, which they already are. And now J.K. Rowling is saying that it's like giving people, it's so bullying. It's so wrong. It's so against.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to remember, like, so even if like we can talk about what she's done in the past because of what she's done. Now we can talk about what she's doing in the present because it's what she's done. It's what she's said. And I want to make like the distinction between like it's not that we're not attacking, we're not making assumptions of her character, we are literally responding to words, a manifesto, and a lot that's editorializing, but literally an essay of her beliefs and the conviction behind them, and the fact that they don't hold water and stuff like that, and we can be critical of this without attacking the, like, you know what I mean? Because like I had to make that divide for myself.
Yeah, and I'm not.
Well, I mean, I had to make that divide for myself personally, and I realized that helped.
This is going to make some accusations on her character, just because, that's like it's like saying to your Trump supporting friend that it's fine. Like it's not fine. Supporting Trump at this point is espousing his beliefs, and this definitely does ding her character for me. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that she's all terrible. That's not what this is. But it is really hard. It is really hard to excuse. It's impossible to excuse that she just told thousands of young people struggling in a closet.
Oh, I can speak to that. Like,
yeah, please do, Frankie.
Because, like, I'll say this. Growing up, I was told that I was wrong, and I believed that. And so when I was dealing with other LGBTQ people, I just didn't know how. I would shut down emotionally because I didn't know how to talk to them about Jesus and to tell them that they were wrong. And so, like, okay, I'll just figure this out for myself. And then, so I just assumed growing up that, yes, my trans brothers and sisters, like, oh, they just don't get it. And once I figure this out, then I can show them. So I was just waiting. I come to realize, oh, hey, they got that wrong. Right. Great. And so now, like, the discomfort I felt growing up, incongruent with my environment, in a world built for straight people, telling me how to feel and think, was torture. I didn't know what it was to feel normal until 37 years old. Yeah. When I didn't know how to exhale, like, and be at true peace. I've had moments of peace, and a lot of that was through my faith at the time, but I didn't feel normal until I was 37. And so I can't even imagine what my trans brothers and sisters go through when they have, because I wasn't home in my body, at least, you know what I mean? Like I was born as I identify with the body I was born with. And so like, so my brothers and sisters who are trans out there struggling, like
yeah, Frankie, this
like,
would be like a straight Joe as a straight woman out of nowhere one day saying, you're only gay because you choose to be. And I think people are trying to be gay just to violate me and with other women. Like,
oh yeah,
what a
it's ridiculous.
It's absurd. And like all the science that she quotes, first of all, she doesn't link any sources in her document because they're all so thoroughly debunked. It's like my reaction reading it was like, did she fall down a YouTube rabbit hole?
Well, almost definitely. Like, if not YouTube, Facebook, or some combination of all the above. It's that's why there's so many Trump supporters. We have a lot of problems right now with our social media, creating these echo chambers that reinforce some very divisive ideas that are, in a lot of cases, put there on purpose for this exact thing, to divide groups that would otherwise have a lot in common and a lot of political capital to spend against these people that would rather them be divided. So most definitely is a factor here.
She has every resource available to her to learn better, to do better. We're all struggling to do better in this world. We're all trying to be allies. Everybody this month seems to be finally reckoning with a lot of difficult things about race. And that's another aspect of this. We're in the middle of literally this wasn't inspired by some news article. She wasn't responding to anything. She has been quiet about this for 6 months. And then right in the middle of the global uprising in response to the deaths of George Floyd and so many other Black people, Black trans people, she just decides that that's the day. She knows, and I know this for a fact because I've heard her say it, she knows what her voice means. She knows when she makes the tweet that it's going to be a news article. She knows when she writes the manifesto, it's going to dominate headlines. It's not like sharing a sunset on Instagram in the middle of protests. It's not like sharing what you ate for lunch when everybody else is sharing educational resources. When you're somebody who knows that anything you say is going to be turned into a triple whammy, double-decker news story by every news organization in the known universe, that is a distraction, and you know it. So how do you reconcile that?
Like, why now? Like, you're aware of everything else that's happening, you know what an interruption this will be. It's not like there was a case pending or a law that was about to come into effect. There's nothing on the timeline that she could point to that said it had to be right now. She probably had been sitting there for a few weeks writing her little letter, and then she finished and she said, well, now is as good a time as any. I just want to get it out into the world. What does it matter? What else is happening?
So if you're wondering how we felt about it, and the three of us, I think, share a certain sadness because of how many
This is a podcast that celebrates her genius.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the only reason that it works, that we could sit here and pick apart the canon of these books, is that there's a certain logic to them that is like a rational fantasy. And it's a work of genius. So to watch this person out here in the world doing this kind of thing is like, you know, you took a huge shit in the pool here, Joe. Like, we're meant to be swimming here. We're meant to be trying to have pool parties for you, and you're just here with diarrhea, and it's not welcome. And you're making people sick.
Oh, John, I love you.
John, thank you for that, bud. I love you. I needed that little slam dunk of logic because that is exactly how it is. Like, it's still the same fucking pool. I'm like, but I know it's the same pool.
Right? They're like, but how are we meant to swim here even though there's shit over there? Like, is it still... Yeah. But your relationship with the pool is your relationship and the shit can't change that. It's like, well, it kind of can. Like, it's kind of distracting and gross. And, like, it's going to bother other people. Like, I get that it's a big pool, but still.
You want to extend the analogy? So I was just talking about this, about COVID. Cheryl, our dear friend Cheryl.
Cheryl Klein?
Yeah, Cheryl Klein. Hot Cheryl with 5 T's.
I love Cheryl Klein.
Cheryl Klein. So she was talking, we were on one of our walks, and we do these like 6 feet away from each other walks during COVID because we live like around the block from each other. And we were talking about how the COVID is sort of like somebody poops in a pool, and in a community pool, invariably a couple times every summer, some kid poops in the pool, and they have a protocol for this. Everybody gets out of the pool. Some unfortunate being has to get the poop out of the pool, and then there's a cleaning protocol, and you clean the area, and then it is safe to go in. And what's happening with COVID right now is people are sort of like, well, we know the poops in the pool is fine. We'll just stay in the pool. Is really weird. But to your analogy, John, is actually in a really grotesque way showing me like kind of the way out of this and what led me to the hopefulness. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have been getting a lot because I've been speaking against Joe on social, which is, I can't even tell you how I never thought I would be in that position, but here we are. Speaking against what she's saying, I'm getting a lot of like, well, then how can you're such a hypocrite. How can you do the Leaky Cauldron? How can you do LeakyCon? How can you do PotterCast? All that stuff. Looking forward to you donating every dollar you've made off of her to a charity, and you know, a lot of less savory things than that. First of all, LOL, if anybody thinks anybody over here is super rich over
I mean, these listeners, they hear how we put commercials in these podcasts like every 10 minutes, so they know.
Yeah, but
I don't work overtime at work.
But the thing is, we are trying to clean the pool, and there's no point in closing a pool. There's no point in leaving all the people who are still getting something good out of the pool to not have a pool anymore. I'm really torturing this metaphor, but we're here saying we're not going to just pull up stakes and leave the community without people to defend it from even its own authors' harmful remarks. We're going to be here, and we're going to be part of educating and transforming that audience. What a great thing it would be if because of the community that existed, that she didn't create, but that all these entities create, and by the way, publicized and made a lot of money for the associated entities with Harry Potter themselves. But what a great thing it would be if the existing community sort of rose up and taught everybody how wrong her views were, and was a major force in turning that tide that she's trying so hard to gin up.
Yeah. So
yeah, we're not going anywhere. And what we have to do is figure out how to clean the pool and make sure we're still having fun here, and using the still existent message of equality in the books, and just, enjoying ourselves in this fandom.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right to me.
That's about right to me.
Yeah.
So how do we do that?
I don't know. I think that there is going to be a divide here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think that's another part of why it's important to talk about it, is there's a lot of people that, like we said earlier, may have never even heard the phrase, cisgendered. And I think that there's a lot of people that may not know a single trans person in their lives. And they might not be too, knowledgeable on any of this. And they could look to somebody like Joe as being like, oh, I trust her on other things, and she seems to be a good person, so maybe she's got the right idea here. And she did in her little essay mention how many people supposedly, wrote her with all these supportive letters. But I mean, I don't know what that's supposed to say. If she wrote a big, tweet about how wrong gay marriage was, I'm sure she'd get a ton of emails from very, conservative people telling her how smart she is about that too. So it's just gross. The gross thing too is how much it just kind of like, there's so many Trump analogs here that drive me crazy.
Yeah,
it's like
same.
the very worst, least thing that I would ever want is to have her like comparable, and like literally Trump was the only other person talking like about this issue in the same negative way as she was. Like
the day after all this, he rescinded the health rights.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was literally about making your health have to match the gender you were assigned.
It's the only other trans issue in the news. Was that thing.
Exactly. And it was just like, wow, yeah, look who else thinks that your biological sex must equal your gender. Do you really want to be on this comparison shelf?
It's really screwed up. It's extraordinarily screwed up. I don't get it. Don't understand why she would pick now and why she would do it with, again, like such unstable foundation for so much of her argument here. Like, should she have posted citations? Yeah, absolutely. If she claims to have done all this research and all of these things, where is it?
Right.
I understand there's been some people who have like picked apart this whole thing like sentence for sentence, and I haven't seen any of those, but I imagine there are probably some people on each side of the issue trying to
this is not a both sides issue.
And I know. I'm not saying there's fine people on each side. I'm acknowledging that there must be some people. It's not Joe versus the world.
Definitely.
I would imagine there's people that are very glad that she wrote what she wrote and are trying to back it up with facts, but she did not try to do that. What a hill to die on, like they say. Like, why, why now and why?
Because she thinks she's right.
This?
That's the thing. I keep asking myself this exact question. And it's because she's sure she's right. She is sure she is doing the courageous and noble thing right now. The snark really put me off. It's one thing to explain yourself. And like, listen, all of it put me off. Certainly the snark didn't. Certainly the
she
snark
was just more polite about it.
Right,
I'd have been on board.
Like, certainly the snark didn't put me off more than the hateful commentary. But there was something about like the collecting the woke cookies thing. Like, it was just so, and some of it was written to be like real cruel. I don't know what happened to her. This is not the woman we knew, or maybe. I would love us to talk a little bit about, continuing to find the joy here and how we go forward as a fandom.
Yeah. Well, it's the creative expression of the thing that we like,
right?
More so than being like observing and reporting on like the news and the goings on for the thing, because that piece of it kind of stinks right now. But there's still quite a bit of heart in the people that are being creative and making art and just getting to know each other over Harry Potter being a common interest that will continue to be the foundation of whatever we're trying to do here, or whatever any Harry Potter fan anything does. Like, we can't just sit here and make it all about like it's Argus Filch's birthday again today. Happy birthday, Argus Filch! And leave a comment here if you want to talk about Argus Filch. Like, nobody wants to do that. It's 2020. Like, it's ridiculous.
So, for anyone who doesn't know, Roll 9 3/4 is the Harry Potter D&D podcast that we have been playing with our good friend Bree as well, and it's so fun. And it's like an adventure puzzle, choose your own adventure thing. And if you don't know D&D, this is a great way to learn. So go check it out on our other podcast. Plug. But it's real good. And that kind of like fan creation used to be at the core of PotterCast. We used to do a lot of like. Fan interviews and the modcast and this and that. Like, there was more than just the hosts talking on the original iterations of PotterCast. And I think we can do some of that.
Yeah,
again.
we should try to bring more of that back into the show. I think that was very popular at the time and would be popular again now. Yeah. So if you're doing anything interesting with Harry Potter, any creative projects or anything that is engaging the fandom that you feel like you have not been able to get enough eyeballs on yet, or you just are interested in sharing, reach out to us. You can tweet at PotterCast or write us an email at staff@pottercast.com.
Still working email. Let us know what you're doing. I want to start bringing in more guests and talking about more fan creation and like talking about, I don't know if you saw, but we had our friend Janaea, who does the House of Block podcast, which is a really cool Potter, it's more intersectional view on Potter. And she like stirred up our Twitter for a day. We just handed over the Twitter for a day And she just like got in there talking about all kinds of incredibly different views on the series and on different ships and on fanfics, and people were sort of like sharing and getting excited in a way that we've been missing, you know? So Janae is going to come on the show one of these days real soon. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with her. And you should go listen to that podcast. It's called House of Black Podcast.
Cool.
Well, let's head over to the drums.
Boom, 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 boom.
Sweet.
We did it. We had the conversation that was so scary and horrible that we had like 3 preceding conversations.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it was good. I didn't realize how much I needed to process with you guys before I processed with all y'all guys. I was having a hard time with it. I'm in a much better place.
How about you, John?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm still irritated. It's just so selfish to try to yank the spotlight away from Black Lives Matter. I don't know. I don't want to dig into it again here in the fucking drums.
But like, you're pointing out an important thing. This didn't just happen and it's over. This is going to keep happening, and we are going to have to say something repeatedly because there are going to be new people who are come across what she said, and we're going to have to combat it, you know, a lot. But in the meantime, What are you reading and watching and playing? I know what I'll be playing tonight. Sorry, I'm changing the subject because it's the drums.
Well, go ahead.
I'm so excited. The Last of Us Part 2 comes out in like less than 2 hours, and I have told everybody, do not call me, do not talk to me for 2 days. Will's ready. He's like
pretty great.
Sheets on the windows and just to make sure we don't get any glare on the TV. Like it's on. Like 7 years. 7 years I've been waiting for a sequel to this game.
Oh, it's been 7 years?
7 years!
I had no idea. What the other one was on PlayStation 4?
2 when it first came out. 3 when it first came out. So it was at the very end of the life cycle of PlayStation 3, and then they remastered it for PS4. And I played it in 2013 at first, and it was mind-blowing. And it doesn't get less good. It's still that good. I've replayed it a bunch of times, and I've wanted a sequel so badly, and the reviews are saying that it's brutal and horrible, but a masterpiece and like a generation-defining game. Basically.
Oh my god, I don't know how you play it, but I'm excited for it.
I'm loser. It's so good. It's just an excellent epic story. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most consistent thing I've heard about this game. I'm afraid of zombies and violence, so it's not really for me. But everyone tells me that it'd be worth just watching a playthrough of it because the story's that good. And so I'm tempted to do that because I hear the story's amazing.
You should, and the violent parts are pretty well telegraphed, so you can sort of close your eyes or.
Yeah, and then if I'm watching it, that's different. It's like a movie. I have no agency. When I have to play it and I have to move my little control and feel the vibrations and whatnot, that just gets in my head even more. Like,
yeah. And in this one, I think you have to kill dogs, which I'm not looking forward to. Yeah, I don't. Even in video game land, I really. And in this one, they gave different names to literally every single NPC. So when you kill a rando, when you kill a red shirt, their friend starts calling for them, supposedly. So they're doing a lot to like ground and make very serious all the super psychotic violence that goes on in this game. That's not why I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it because of the story. I'm actually like really seriously not looking forward to that part because they say it's really brutal and really exhausting. But that's the price of a good story.
I've been playing The Witcher 3.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fun because of magic. But I was chatting with Bree, and she told me there were a lot of cutscenes, and I was like, oh, it's fine. I like cutscenes. But oh my gosh, there are too many cutscenes.
So many cutscenes.
Sometimes I just want to play. I just want to like fight some monsters, but you have to sit through a 20-minute episode of poorly acted robots because the skin looks great, the surfacing looks great, but they don't articulate their faces. They just move their bodies back and forth, and they look like Hall of Presidents, and they're all like, and it's filled with like boobies. Like that game is just like, hey, look at all the boobies. I'm like,
so many boobies. But it's also it's because there's so many movies that you're seeing all those sort of robotic elements because they have to like.
Well, and it's an old game. That's an old game they remastered. I looked it up. It came out in like 4 years ago.
Yeah, but still, the sheer number of movies means they had to use like a lot of the same movesets and stuff just for memory. Like,
I know, but I mean, like, it's just it's funny to me that they write like they're selling it as this drama, which is fine, but like you're writing stuff that your assets can't deliver on. Like, there's a lot of nuance in the voice acting, and it's great, and I'm glad it's there. But without that voice acting, you'd be very lost as to what these characters wanted to convey because they're just so unarticulate, and like they can only do they're trying to look sexy or gross, and that gets in the way of their acting.
I found the main central story of Witcher 3 kind of like meh. But I find it to be like a very fun world, and like my fiance Will, he loves it so much. He loves the world, like the landscape. Like literally the marshes and the waters.
Oh yeah, it's really beautiful.
He loves roaming around it. Also, play Gwent, because Gwent is actually really great.
Oh, I'm hooked on Gwent. I love it so much. It's really fun.
Yeah.
I think I got the rules down now. I'm starting to win most of my matches. Before I kept losing, and then I kind of got it. I'm like, okay. And then I use the magic I use the most. I think it's called Axie, the Jedi mind trick one. I max that one up first, and it's awesome because what I'll do is I'll find a pack of bad guys. I'll make one my slave. They all attack each other, and then I have to kill. I have one to kill at the end, and then I can mind control him to stand there while I hack him because I don't like fighting.
Well,
and then there are wyverns, and there are dragons, and I keep making them come down to me, and I just kill them and sell the hide.
John, you playing anything fun?
I was playing a tiny little bit of Animal Crossing just because I was curious, because Bree's been playing it a lot. But I only played it for like a couple of days. I didn't get into it too deeply. I know that once you're in it, you're in it, and a lot of people have been playing it like relentlessly. But it was cute. It's really interesting how huge that all of the different all of the items and things you can have. Like, it's like they designed like countless objects and things that you can include on your island, and it's pretty neat.
See, I'd want to make a magical floating tower somehow.
Okay, tell me more.
Just because that's in my head. Like, if I have to imagine a happy place, my happy place would be a turret of a castle that's floating in the sky, that can float around over like the islands in the Pacific Northwest with all the clouds and the mist and the good weather, and the turret on the inside is all this nice like architecture, but like modern, but it's still a castle, and I'm a wizard. And then when I want to get inside of it, the bricks uncurl into steps and I can go all the way down. It's magical. So make that in Animal Crossing. Can you do that?
Sure. Sure, Frankie. I'll do exactly what you just said. Yes. There probably is for some genius. There's a lot of Harry Potter in Animal Crossing.
Ooh, really?
A lot of people like making up the Great Hall, and like a lot of outfits. I have a lot of those outfits. Yes, it's super fun. A lot of people like recreating things. So send us your best Harry Potter Animal Crossing pictures.
Yeah.
Tweet at us at PotterCast, and we will share them. Or our Instagram. Oh my god, go to our Instagram, PotterCast Pod.
Yeah, Insta.
Yeah. Well, gang, listen to Roll 9 3/4 if you're looking for something fun.
I'm starting a new book.
Remind them if they want to do the fan interview thing, you can reach out at our social at PotterCast on most of the socials.
Yeah, it's PotterCast Pod. Everything else is at PotterCast.
Yeah, typically, and what's fun for Roll 9 3/4 is for the Patreon stuff, I typically do doodles because that's easy for me to do. So there are some drawings in there that only Patreon get to people see about. But it's focused on Roll 9 3/4, so it's fun.
There should be a new episode soon, right, Frankie?
Yep, very soon. I'm not gonna lie. This whole bit really kind of pooped in the pool, to use John's analogy,
Christmas.
Which I love so much because it's very, very accurate.
I'm so mad that it's so accurate.
It's extremely accurate because all the arguments really hold up to a one. It's like, the pool's not changed. Yeah, I know, but there's poop in it. Your relationship with the pool hasn't changed. Yeah, I know, but there's poop in it.
That kind of does change my relationship with the pool.
Yeah, it kind of does change just a little bit. I
gotta figure out my relationship with this pool right now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I realized that at least roll a 9¾ is the jacuzzi. Not in the. It's in the same pool, but it's much smaller. And there's. It's like 6 feet away.
Yeah.
The water's not connected. It's in the same area? Sure, same area,
Sure.
but it's a totally different body of water, much smaller, much more manageable. We're really gonna look out for any shitters, so please don't shit in our pool.
Don't we have gender neutral bathrooms and dorms, right? Didn't we make even Myrtle's bathroom?
Oh yeah, but they're just bathrooms. There's no no boys or girls bathroom, just bathrooms.
That's how it should be. You have a gender neutral bathroom in your house.
And unicorns are also gender neutral.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Amazing. Did we do that one yet? Is that one live?
Yeah, that one's out. And the other one will be out very soon, I promise.
Where we are with having recorded and where we are with what's public, it's very mixed up in my head.
Because I'll tell you guys this, these players have been so very patient with their DM for playing like 3 times and then waiting 6 months to play again. Just because, well, a lot of it is life and COVID and work and all that nonsense, and me writing. I have a story that's more fleshed out now, so I'm excited.
It's so exciting. Yeah, stuff that we just recorded got real. It's really... And I'm starting to feel more at home in the character, and like...
I will say this, Melissa. We'll speak about this in a roundabout way, so that it'll be kind of enticing too, and not a spoiler. I'll speak to you. I made a certain puzzle a very certain way, thinking you would do a very certain thing, and you did not.
No!
And it involved swimming.
I'm so mad. Oh,
I figured you would have jumped at that.
I just realized, I always forget that I can do that.
Yeah.
I always forget. I need to put it on a piece of paper in front of basically my character can turn into animals.
Don't say anything else!
I never remember though.
Yeah.
How come I didn't see that, Frankie?
It's fine. But you guys did amazing. You guys did amazing.
I'm so mad at myself.
It was so much fun. All those
I'm even more mad at myself now.
Well,
but
maybe now this shame will make you remember.
I'm gonna make a big whiteboard and put it in front every time we play. It says you can change into an animal. This is all D&D talk, and it's so God, for somebody who never played before, I'm so obsessed with it now. I listen to podcasts. I'm just
it's really fun. It's hard though. It's a hard game, you guys. It's really hard.
John, you got anything else to add?
I got nothing, guys.
Well,
see you next time.
Keep each other safe, y'all, for real.
Yeah, please. Keep each other safe, and really please keep the faith.
The next password,
yeah.
John, you pick it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Poop.
Good. I was hoping for that.
Night.
We've missed it.
W3.
I confess myself disappointed.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bed.
Great Scott, no wonder. Look at the time. We've been here nearly 4 hours. Spooky how the time flies when one's having fun.